Hello and welcome to the Browns Blitz. It is Thursday, February 26th. This is episode number 336. I'm your host, Rod Bloom. Joining me tonight is my brother, Jeff. Hey, Jeff, how are things going?
Things are going good, Rod. I've just been watching a bunch of 300-pound men run crazy fast 40s.
Yeah, nothing quite like it. I know you've been looking forward to this. So, if not this first day, at least some of the other stuff that's coming up. So
Right.
I guess probably the whole thing all together. But yeah. So are you drinking anything tonight, Jeff? I'm just drinking water. We're gonna
Yeah, me
skip
too.
that segment. Okay.
Yeah, we can pass on that one.
Okay. So we're kind of in that time of year where we're just kind of sifting through some news here and there. So we're just going to go through stuff, no apparent order, no timeline, nothing like that. So I just kind of wrote down some things that I had heard or read or whatever, and you can feel free to add in if there's little bits and pieces to any of this stuff, and we'll just get your reaction to some of this stuff. So
kind of crazy stuff out there right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of it. Yeah, yeah, and I don't even have a lot of the stuff down about who's going where and all that. I don't even have a lot of that down to talk about. So we can touch on some of that too. But the first thing, and again, not in any apparent order, nothing I'm all worked up about or anything, but it was the NFL report, the NFLPA's report cards. These came out, and I guess they're not publishing results, but the results are still out there. So the only reason I'm bringing it up, I mean, the Browns are still in the same spot at 30. That doesn't surprise me, until the Browns are winning. It doesn't surprise me that they're not moving up the ladder on this list. I'm bringing this up because I'm a little surprised by some of the other teams. The Cardinals were 31. Did you hear this list, Jeff? Do you know who the number one team is? Number one is the Miami Dolphins are number one. Now, is that just because of the surroundings?
I guess.
The
bikinis are a great thing.
I guess. But I'm bringing it up because if you haven't heard this, you'll never guess who the number 32 team on the list is this year.
No.
And the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but a lot of people unhappy there or something. Maybe that's kind of had a little bit to do with Mike Tomlin heading out of town and maybe some other things going on. But I mean, we've always talked pretty highly about the organization and thinking that they were going to run things right and all that. But that kind of surprised me.
Right.
So we don't have to do a deep dive on it, but yeah.
So supposedly this whole thing is going away, right? Because the NFL didn't want it anymore, or who didn't want it anymore?
Somebody didn't want it because because of the results being public and all that. But we're still finding stuff out that we're probably not supposed to know about.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what that's based on. I don't know if that's based on players' experiences from last season. I don't know if that's based on how players view, teams, heading into the next season or whatnot. I mean, my understanding was it's based on last season, but maybe there's more to it than that. So I don't know. That was kind of wacky for me to hear that.
That and $1.50 to get you a cup of coffee.
Yeah, definitely. It's not a quarter anymore, Jeff. Yeah.
Right.
The other thing was the Browns proposing this rule change to draft picks that you're allowed to trade.
Yeah.
And
the reverse Stepien rule.
Yeah. So, I heard this and people were like, wow, this is, and Nick Padone, actually, he wrote an article, saying he called this a dangerous proposal.
Yeah.
And I can see where Nick's coming from. When you can trade picks up to 5 years in advance.
Right.
But I'm thinking maybe the Browns aren't. What if the Browns are looking at this from the other side and saying, well, what if they're thinking of trading guys and getting picks that far into the future?
Yeah, right.
Maybe that's their angle on this, and maybe it's not that they want to give up these picks necessarily.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know that we have enough tradable commodities to think like that, but
Well, we got one, but that's about it. Yeah.
I mean, this is something I agree with Nick on. I mean, that there's a reason that the NBA has the step-in rule, because crazy owners / general managers will do very destructive things to try to make their teams better, and they almost always backfire. So
yeah,
if you push that out to 5 years, just think how hard it is to recover from that. You could have 2 or 3 regime changes before you have all your picks back.
it can be, and also, I mean, you think about it. If you're trading in 26, you could trade a 2030 or 2031 pick. So you're trading a 2030 first round pick. What value does that pick have?
Yeah. Well, and
not nearly as much. Not as much as it's going to have then, obviously.
Right. Well, you're not going to be around to know either as the GM, more than likely.
More than likely not. But the picks have diminishing value the further out they get.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can give somebody 3 first round picks now if you still have your picks. Right. If you add a couple more first rounders to that, how much additional value are you really adding?
Yeah, I don't know. There's still a lot of value in a first rounder, I think, but
there is.
Might equate to this year's second or third rounder. I don't know. Have to look at the Jimmy Johnson chart.
Yeah, I would have to look at that, but I'm thinking, as a first round pick in 5 years, I mean, is that worth a third or a fourth rounder this year?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's interesting, but
I'm not in favor of it, no matter what any of that works out to.
No, I think I'm probably with you on that. I don't know that it adds enough. I think it would give teams a chance to dig themselves into deeper holes.
Yeah.
More than anything, because if you don't have the capital now, then you're just going to be tempted to trade picks, further out like that to try to make something happen, and you're just going to dig yourself into a deeper hole. Yeah. So I would really like to know the Browns, the impetus behind this thought, what they think they would do with this. I mean, if you're trading a 6th or a 7th rounder out 5 years, great. But if you're just going to start giving away first and second rounders out that far, I'd probably rather not see that happen.
Yeah.
So
of all the teams that could have proposed that, I think we're probably pretty low on that list too.
Probably not the team that should have been, the one up there talking about it.
Right.
Yeah, I would agree with you. So the Browns are reported to be one of, I believe, 4 teams pursuing Tyler Linderbaum, and you mentioned this to me, Jeff, that the Ravens were set to make a market-setting offer to their center. But the Browns, the Giants, and I don't know if the other team was named, are also interested in him. And I mean, you can't blame him. The guy is, probably the best center in the league. So, especially if you're a team like the Browns that needs to rebuild your entire line. Would certainly be a welcome addition.
Right.
Could come down to money.
All the reasons we talked about last week is, settling in at least one position on that line with a perennial Pro Bowler. It's a great start. And yeah, I'd love to see him come here, but the reality is he's probably not going to. The Ravens really are focused on keeping him, and rightfully so. They should. I mean, when you have a guy of that caliber and he's getting his second contract coming off his rookie deal, I mean, those are franchise defining contracts. Now,
Yeah.
so all those guys that are in that category, Rasheed Walker with the Packers, another one. I mean, those are guys you want to keep in your organization. I don't think they just let those guys walk away. So Linderbaum would be a great addition here, and maybe we have a little bit of an inside track because of the staff that we hired. But from all the tea leaves right now, it sounds like they're going to back up the Brinks truck and keep him in Baltimore.
Well, I guess we'll see. I mean, obviously, it depends where he wants to be.
Yeah.
But and I guess it depends how big a difference there is between the Brinks trucks. If it's enough to really make him think about it,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're getting a boatload of money, you're getting a boatload of money.
Right.
And a few additional million might not be enough to make him want to, have a change of scenery. So
yeah.
But it'll be interesting.
It's a tough year to need a center. There's not a lot of options. So
yeah.
Somebody's going to overpay.
Yeah. And I guess same thing with Joel Batonio. We're still waiting. So I don't know when we're going to hear anything on that, but it'd be good to know. It'd be nice to tie down one spot on the offensive line, wouldn't it, Jeff?
It would. I think it's really the ball's in Joel's court right now in terms of what does he want to do. It's in the Browns' best interest to not rush him on that decision. You'd like to know if he's coming back so that you can go find somebody or not find somebody for his spot. But I think there's also some help in terms of going out and recruiting other guys if he's still here. They look at it like, well, okay, that's one other vet at least I'll have on that line. Right now you're
right.
Why? If I'm a free agent, why would I sign with the Cleveland Browns? I mean, I'm going to be a party of one trying to put the line together, right? If you've at least got another Pro Bowler there on that line with you, you might feel like, okay, maybe this is a place I would entertain. So I think we'll probably hear from him after the free agency period, what he plans to do after the free agency period and probably before the draft.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They pushed that date back to what, the 15th of March or something. So
I can't remember the exact date. It's, it's the date when the league year begins, I think. March.
Yeah,
it's around March 10th, I think, or something like that, maybe.
Yeah. So the ninth is the legal tampering period, I think. And then the 11th, they can actually sign contracts. So Joel's date being a little bit after that helps in terms of recruiting linemen, I think. So we'll know well in advance of the draft, and really that second group of free agents, all the big money guys that go in those first few days, and then there will be more added over the next couple of weeks, a couple of weeks after that.
Right.
So the Browns will have the option of going out and finding another guard if they need to.
Yep. We will see what happens there. So more quarterback talk, Jeff, and this all ties into the combine. I wanted to talk, a little bit about the QBs a little bit later on, but I mean the Malik Willis talk won't stop, and he's seen by some people as the top free agent out there. I'm just still trying to tie my head around why the Browns would put that much money into, to a guy who's only played a little bit. And I know it's only money versus a draft pick. it doesn't make a lot of sense. And
No.
and if you do sign him for a couple of years, and I guess it depends how the contract's structured, but particularly if it's a 2 or 3 year deal, it really it could take you out of the running for the 27 quarterback, even if Willis
Mhm.
doesn't play well.
Yeah.
Um, People, I'll be honest. I don't have an opinion on Anthony Richardson. I'm not excited about Anthony Richardson, but does something like Anthony Richardson for 1 year for a fourth round pick and a $5 million salary, bringing him in to compete with these other two guys, does something like that make more sense to you right now?
I don't know, again, how you put more question marks in that quarterback room. I mean, the only way that you solve this problem is by evaluating those guys that you already have, and then if they don't work, then going and finding some more options. If you're going out and spending $30 million on Malik Willis, he's got to play, and those
Yeah.
other guys won't.
Right.
So you better hope that he comes in and proves that he's worth $30 million a year. I just think right now nobody's going to rule anything out officially. So all of these wild ass ideas just keep bubbling to the surface
Yeah.
because everybody wants a shortcut. And this team's been guilty of taking shortcuts. So why wouldn't we expect them to do it again, right? But Malik Willis in my mind, would be just looking to take another shortcut. And we're already in too bad a shape to keep doing that kind of thing. There's reasonable risk, and then there's just silly risk. And Anthony Richardson at $5 million a year would, in my mind, be much more reasonable risk than Malik Willis at $30 million a year. But again, I don't know how you feel like you can gain anything from that either.
Okay.
I mean, the book on Anthony Richardson is he can't stay on the field.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. I'm looking at this like, I fully expect, Watson and Sanders to be in the room. I kind of don't really expect Dylan Gabriel to be on the team. And maybe it will be. I don't know. I kind of expect him to have a different quarterback, as their number 3. So I'm just that's kind of what I'm looking at, is who would that third quarterback be?
Yeah.
It could be a low, a late round pick in the draft. Or it could be a free agent or a vet, a free agent vet.
Yeah. I don't disagree with any of that. I think the quarterback room is going to be a mess in 2026. It just is. It's just where we are. And Andrew Berry likes to talk about the life cycle of a roster. And the timing is that we're not going to fix that quarterback problem until 27 or later. So we're just going to have to figure out a way to get through 26. So if Anthony Richardson or some other vet can come in and be the number 3, and they've really have seen enough of Dylan Gabriel, like us fans have, then it makes sense to put a third guy in that room with the 2 guys that they think can play. They obviously think that Shedeur has something, and they still think that Deshaun Watson might have something. We don't, but they do, apparently.
They do.
Yeah. Maybe right. Again, it can all be smoke and mirrors at this point, right? But to add a third option to that, like we've said many times, you're going to play 3 guys anyway, probably. So it never hurts this franchise to have an extra quarterback.
Yeah. Who do you want to see playing those last few games? That's kind of what it comes down to. Do you want it to be Dylan Gabriel? Do you want it to be a late round draft pick? Do you want it to be, a vet? That could potentially turn into a reclamation project.
Yeah.
I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And are y'all in on the 20, on looking at the 27 draft if nobody emerges in 26, or do you want to try to find somebody now and say, hey, we're good. We're going to keep trying to find somebody and, we'll figure out 27 when we get to it.
Yeah. I know they want the fan base to believe that they want to win this year. But the reality is they're probably not going to. They're going to be a very young team. They're not going to spend a lot of money in free agency. They'll make a few middle of the road additions probably that way to fill the roster out, and a bunch of 1-year guys. And 27 just sets up to be more favorable to solve that problem because you're going to have a lot more quarterbacks in the draft.
Yeah.
And you're going to have more quarterback movement from existing guys. So it's just going to give you a lot more options in terms of finding a guy, even if it's another short-term guy, but a guy that improves the quarterback room. You want to raise the floor of the quarterback room. So if you think Shedeur can get to another level in 27, okay, fine. Maybe you bring somebody different in to compete with him for that camp once Watson's off the roster. But to keep adding a bunch more question marks to this, it's hard for me to see how that moves the needle.
I agree with you. I do. I would like the team, and maybe it's hard for them. Maybe it's just really hard to convince Jimmy Haslam that this team is not quite there yet. Maybe he just thinks if they add the correct 3 offensive linemen and sign Malik Willis and draft a number 1 wide receiver that they're going to win 10 games. Most of the rest of us pretty well aware that that's probably not going to happen this season. So this team should be building for 27 and beyond. So the decisions made now should be for 27 and beyond. So you shouldn't be wasting assets and just doing dumb moves to try to convince the people who aren't going to believe it anyways that you're trying to win this year.
Right.
I mean, sure, we want to see wins. It's not like I want to see the Browns lose this season, but man, I can make it through one more season if it means they're going to start competing in 27.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to see. I want to see if we're at this point already, let's rebuild this thing right. If it takes another season, fine. I would rather see that than have them just keep making, decisions that are going to fizzle out and just push them a little bit further back. And then you get to 27 and you still got more holes to fill because you didn't spend your assets properly.
Right. Yeah. Again, the where the roster is, we need another fresh crop of young players added into this roster so that in 3 years, when it comes time for 2 years for the last year's draft, 3 years for these guys, when it comes time to start thinking about extending players, we want to have guys who we want to give extensions to.
Yeah.
That's when you can feel like your roster is ready to win. Not when these guys are all rookies, but when they're in the primes of their careers. We were in that window a few years ago, and they went out and made the Deshaun Watson move thinking that would put them over the top. Now we're in one of those ebbs where we don't have as many guys that we want to extend. We've got some young guys from last year, so we've got a little bit of time with them. Plus, hopefully we bring in some really great high picks this year that we're going to want to extend at some point. So realistically, I think our win window is 28 and beyond. When those guys really start to get into the primes of their careers. And at that point, you've got only a small handful of guys still around from your last win window. Myles Garrett's still going to be around. You've got 2 more years with Denzel Ward. Do you extend him again?
Yeah,
maybe. Judy's going to be gone in 2 years. Just trying to run down the list in my mind. Campbell, you got two or three seasons with. I think you got 3 and or 2 and an option. Delpit, you got 1 year with Delpit. You're gonna have to make a decision on him next year. So yeah, your core guys are starting to age out when that next window hits, right? So I think it's really important right now that they make decisions on guys that will be around in 28 and beyond, not guys that are going to fill the gap between now and then.
Yeah, and it's just going back to that to the Malik Willis, that contract, 30 to 35 million a year. Man, you can sign some nice offensive linemen. I mean, I know it's based on who's out there. You can sign some offensive linemen. You can retain some of your guys that you got, like Devin Bush if you want to. That money can be spent other places if you don't spend it there too.
Yeah.
For a season or two while you're trying to get off the Watson deal. It's just, that's not, I know it's just money, but it's money you can spend other places too.
Right. So just to put that into perspective, Malik Willis equals Tyler Linderbaum, Devin Bush, and another mid-tier free agent.
Yeah.
I mean, how many games can you win? Quarterback's important, but we don't know that Malik Willis is the answer.
No.
We know those other guys are.
It's a big gamble. Yeah.
Right.
That's a problem. I mean, quarterbacks, it's a gamble. If you do, it's a gamble. If you don't, sure. But yeah, I mean, I am still in the camp of build the team, see what you got, fill out the QB room this year if you need to, and man, just play for the quarterback in 27.
For me, this year is about making the Browns offense a place where guys want to come and play. Our defense is that kind of place right now. Our offense is not. If we can make our offense a place where guys want to come and play, that changes the game in 27. Now you can recruit guys. You can bring in the key additions that you need to really start to be considered a competitive franchise. But if you miss on a whole bunch of draft picks, or you stretch and panic, make a panic move for a quarterback or somebody else, and you don't get it done, then maybe you're setting yourself back even further.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Browns, Jeff, you sent me an article about proven performance escalators and Browns players who are on the under the PPE, so they will get a bump this coming season, being in the 4th year of their contract. So very, very interesting. So
we talked about these guys a few weeks ago, Rod. In terms of who we had coming eligible for extensions from the last several drafts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean these are the guys that we said going into this year, are you going to give them an extension?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Nameless.
So Luke Whippler did not qualify even for level 1. There's level 1s, 2, and 3. So 3 is the highest level of bump. So all the other 3 guys did qualify for level 1, which is still pretty minor. I mean, it's a significant bump from the perspective, though, that these 3 guys will now be just below what I consider to be our core players in terms of
Yeah.
the guaranteed money.
Yeah.
Right. So the 8 guys that are the core players that have those prime of your career type of contracts, Grant Delpit and up, right, all the way up to Miles. These guys are sitting right below them in terms of money. Everybody else is, well off of that, right? So when you look at being able to save cap space, there's a big difference between a guy who's making $1 million and a guy who's making 3.6.
Yeah.
In terms of saving cap space.
Yeah. It's definitely interesting with Cedric Tillman, especially. He could be somebody who, I don't know. He's probably going to be a divisive, polarizing kind of a guy, because there are probably still people in his camp that think that bigger receiver, maybe he wasn't being used properly. Monken might be able to, figure out how to use him better.
First, he's got to stay on the field.
Yeah, he's also been hurt a ton. I've heard it said that this could be a breakout season for him, and I'm thinking, well, is he even going to be on the team? That's my first thought.
Right.
He's got to make the team first before he can have a breakout season.
Right.
So, I don't know what to think about Cedric Tillman. I think it depends how much they do to address that wide receiver room. First of all, do they bring in a free agent and draft a wide receiver or 2? Obviously they're not going to sign a free agent and take 2 guys high in the draft. But, but they could either take 2 wide receivers fairly high, or they could take 1 high and potentially bring in a free agent. And, at that point, do you want to have a guy around making, that $3.6 million?
Right.
So I don't know. I really don't know.
I'm going to give you another name as an example. Last year, the Browns were in this spot with Jerome Ford. He was getting bumped up to, he went from 1.75 to 3.5. And the Browns opted to rework his contract. He went from 1.1 to 3.5. They opted to rework his contract to 1.75 in May of last year. And that basically that guaranteed him a roster spot. He might have been a cut casualty. Cap casualty is a cut.
That's
if he had been on that $3.5 million PPE contract, right? So if they did it with Ford, how likely are they to do it with these other 3 guys? Okay, so Tillman, DeJuan Jones, and Isaiah McGuire. Of the 3 of them, McGuire is maybe in the least danger of being cut.
I would think so. Yeah.
Right.
Which is funny, because he just barely. Well, I guess he made it being playing 35% his first 2 seasons. Or in 2 out of his 3 seasons.
DeJuan Jones is you're kind of counting on him to be a starter, at least for a while.
Yeah.
This year, who knows how long, right? Yeah. But you're kind of counting on him to be a starter on the offensive line. He's the only guy you really have lined up to start right now. And then that leaves Tillman. I think of those 3 guys, Cedric Tillman is probably in the most danger of being cut, especially if they do draft a receiver in the first round.
Yeah, I would think so. I think right now he's probably no better than than 3rd on the depth chart, right? I don't know how he's. Yeah, I would not be too confident if I were Cedric Tillman. I would be ready to come in and working, work hard for a spot.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And hope he stays healthy.
Yeah, I mean, I do too. And I mean, and let's face it, this is the NFL. If you can't make the Browns wide receiver room, there aren't going to be a lot of teams out there clamoring for your services.
That's a sad statement, but true.
It is. It is. I mean,
Yeah.
I wish any player the best, but yeah, you better come in and work.
Here's the other thing to consider. I mean, Jerome Ford, they guaranteed him some money. He ended up for that 1.75 million, producing 24 rushes for 73 yards and 26 receptions for 103 yards. Now, he contributed as a third down blocking back. He contributed on special teams. So I'm not giving him a bunch of shade for the 1.75 million, but the reality is he didn't prove that he deserved the 3.5.
Right. Yeah.
And the odds of these three guys, I think, like I said, McGuire probably has the best chance of proving that, he's a $3.6 million guy, because he's your third end, really, realistically, he's your third defensive end. So
he should play quite a bit. Yeah.
He should play a lot. Yeah. And with this defensive and this defensive line period, he's probably going to put up some pretty good numbers, I would think.
Yeah.
So, he may be a candidate for an extension if they feel like they can do it reasonably, going into 27. So we'll find that out after the draft, right? Depending on who they draft.
Yeah.
But the other two guys, I think, it's a real risk that again, DeJuan Jones, I don't think they can afford to cut him because they just don't have enough on the line.
Yeah, you got to keep somebody.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe they work a Ford kind of deal with him, with some performance escalators, right?
Right.
And
right.
Tillman, I have a hard time believing Tillman is going to make this wide receiver room. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like you said. I think he's got to come in healthy and play well. I mean, I could see it, but if he's making it, as probably I mean, depending how many guys they bring in, he's probably making it as a fourth or fifth wide receiver at best.
Yeah,
I would think. That's just reality.
Yeah.
So Jeremy's got who's playing slot, and then his next thing is Mekhi Lemon.
I kind of knew where he was going with that question.
Yeah, I mean, where are you drafting Mekhi Lemon? Because then taking him at 6, and he's probably not there at 24.
So the slot versus X versus Z versus what are you doing with Harold Fannin? I don't think any of that really matters right now. The Browns need everything, and this is what I told Jeremy a couple days ago.
Yeah.
I just want the best wide receiver that they can draft in the first round, and if that's Mekhi Lemon, fine. He's going to be probably a ridiculously good slot receiver in the NFL who can go wide sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
In the making or the style of Jackson Smith and Jigba. That's who everybody wants to replace right now, because obviously that got Seattle to the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
So he's in fashion, right? So Mekhi Lemon's probably going to get overdrafted because of that. In my mind, he and Carnell Tate are the two best receivers in the draft, clearly. And they haven't run at the combine yet. Nobody's really looked at them beyond their game film, but I think there's a clear separation between those two guys and the rest of the receivers in the draft. But you know what? There's still a whole bunch of good receivers after that. So come away with really one good wide receiver early with one of those first 3 picks, and I think you've elevated the Browns wide receiver room significantly. Because right now I don't think there's anybody in our wide receiver room that would be in that conversation. With if you were redrafting today, would you draft any of our wide receivers in the first 3 rounds of the draft?
Not unless you're counting Harold Fannin as a wide receiver.
Right. yeah. I mean, he's a small receiving tight end, right? But they're using him basically like a slot receiver.
Right. So Jeff, I want to talk a little bit of combine, but since you brought up wide receiver, and they haven't run yet. They haven't done anything at the combine yet. The wide receivers before the combine, you mentioned your top 2 wide receivers. Who do you have as your next 3 wide receivers on your board? They don't have to be in any order.
Yeah. Well, look, Jaden Tyson he should be in that conversation. But the health problems the health concerns will hurt his draft position. So he's going to drop probably into that next tier with Denzel Boston. A lot of people like Concepcion as a slot. I'm not as big a fan, but he's in that next tier as well. There's a couple more that could potentially slide into that next tier. The guy who is really on the rise since the Senior Bowl is Malachi Fields out of Notre Dame. Big guy. Not going to run away from anybody, but when you want to try to win the ball like Harold Fannin does and get yards after catch, I mean, he's like 6'4", 230 or something. I mean, he's Harold Fannin size. He's that big. So depending on what you're looking for, do you want a slot guy, a speedy, separator? Do you want a guy who is going to win at the catch point? Do you want a guy who can run a full route tree, or do you want a guy who is going to take the top off the defense with his speed? For me, when you're rating these guys, it's how many of those things can they do? Yeah. And so Carnell Tate, I think, can do most of those things. Mekhi Lemon, I think, can do most of those things. The only real question with Lemon is, can he really beat press coverage? Because he didn't see it in college. Carnell Tate is probably not the greatest separator, but he runs the route tree so well and is such a good route runner. He's kind of like we used to talk about. Jarvis Landry and Amari Cooper. They're both, really, really fundamentally sound route runners, and that's what differentiates Carnell Tate for me. Okay, but yeah, then you start getting a little bit deeper in the draft, and there's a whole bunch more guys. Chris Bell is again being hurt because of an injury. He tore his ACL late in the college season, isn't going to participate in the pre-draft process. But Chris Bell, if he's fully healthy, should be in the same conversation in my mind as those top 2 guys. I mean, he's that talented. Okay. Yeah. He'll probably go somewhere in the second round because of the injury. Talked about Chris Brazzell. I said Bell and Brazzell were my sort of pre-draft process favorites, just because of watching them play. Yeah. The guys that are fun to watch play wide receiver. Brazzell's a big, tall kid, limited route tree. The knock on him is the Tennessee offense, right? Cedric Tillman is case in point. Tennessee wideouts just don't tend to do really well in the NFL, but I think Chris Brazzell will probably break that rule. Keep going down the list. There's even several long shot guys. It could be 3rd, 4th, or 5th round guys that my thinking is if we take one guy high in the draft that we know does most of those things well, and we put him into our offense, we've now gotten so much better that we can add other guys to the room, and they don't have to be great.
Right.
They just have to be good.
Right.
Right. So, if you take Mekhi Lemon, if that's who's there for you, whether you're picking at 6 or maybe you've traded back a little bit, if you take Mekhi Lemon and you're going to use him in the slot, in my mind, you need a complementary guy to him. Okay. And maybe that's Hurst out of Georgia Tech or Lance from, I think, Oklahoma. That'll be, mid to late round guys that just have more of a size component, win at the catch point type of component, right? Maybe it's Brazel. Maybe Brazel drops down into the, God forbid we take him in the 3rd round. But
yeah.
But like I think we improve our wide receiver room that way, right away, without having to go out and spend a bunch of money on free agents. Just give me some guys that complement each other.
Right. I guess we'll see what the free agent market is a wide receiver. You never know. I mean, the past few seasons, it's been kind of crazy. So we'll see. I mean, there's potential to get guys there, but I agree with you. I wouldn't go crazy spending, on a wide receiver this season in free agency with the other needs the Browns have and this draft class available.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Maybe because of the draft class, maybe some of the good free agents don't get the deals they want, and maybe there's a bargain to be had there someplace too. So who knows?
Maybe there's somebody in trade. Maybe Arizona wants to move on from Marvin Harrison, and he's sort of underperformed his draft slot. He's still got a couple of years left on his contract. I'd take a chance on him based on where we are. As long as we put somebody complement. Just imagine if we drafted Mekhi Lemon and we found a way to bring Marvin Harrison here. I mean, he's in the 3rd year of his rookie deal. He's making just under $10 million. To me, that would be a tremendous add for us. And you know what? If he does, if he fits in and does what everybody thought he would do when he came out of Ohio State, man, that's a perfect guy to extend.
That could turn into a pretty good wide receiver room.
Yeah, absolutely.
So who's the most important re-signing March 9th you're pounding the table for? Are you pounding the table?
Yeah. Re-signing. I'm gonna say probably, and it might not happen March 9th because of the fact that he's restricted, but the guy that I think we need to bring back is Ronnie Hickman. And unless we really surprise me in the draft at safety.
Which is what he wants you to think and say.
Right. Yeah. Jeremy's questions are always loaded. Ronnie Hickman needs to be re-signed. It could be pretty team friendly at this point. He's proven that he belongs. Even if he's not a starter for us, even if he's our 3rd safety, I want him re-signed. And like I said, because he's restricted, it will probably be long after March 9th. But the rest of the guys, I'm not pounding the table for anybody, really, Jeremy. I think Devin Bush deserves money, and he's probably going to get it somewhere else. On the line, I really don't want to re-sign any of those guys. If Batonio decides he doesn't want to retire, I'll welcome him back. Maybe we get one more decent year out of him just to give us some stability there. But I'm not pounding the table for anybody right now.
Yeah, I mean, Devin Bush is interesting. I mean, it depends a little bit on the money, how big the market is for him. I don't think any of us were really expecting Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah to come back.
Right.
this season. It's pretty apparent now that he's not going to play in 26. But um, I don't know that that really changes things with Devin Bush. Like you said, Jeff, they can look to fill that position another way.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, sure, would we like to have him back? It'd be great. Yeah, I mean, he had a great season. I would expect him to play well again.
Yeah.
But there's probably other options, and he probably is going to get some other pretty nice offers from teams. So
Yeah.
you got to be prepared that he may sign with somebody else.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think we talked kicker or punter a little bit. I mean, I'm re-signing Schmitz to um, over the punter right now.
Yeah.
I think there's going to at least be competition at punter. Um, as much as I love what Bajorquez has done for this team, I'll always be a fan no matter what happens in the future.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't surprise me if the Browns go with another guy this year.
Yeah. I agree, right? Those guys are just never, with very few exception, are kickers a core part of your team. You just rotate through them, and you
Yeah,
go with the hot hand.
yeah. I mean, Bajorquez has been with the team for what, like 4 or 5 seasons now. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a long time for a punter, let alone a punter for the Browns.
Right.
The Browns have historically gone through some guys very quickly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, he's had a very nice tenure here. Been a
Hmm.
very pleasant surprise and just a great part of the team.
Yeah.
So Jeff, I want to talk. Obviously, offensive line is going to be hopefully a big part of this draft. So with the combine coming up, I just kind of want to get your thoughts on offensive line and the draft, and how much can these guys really help themselves at the combine outside of being measured? Arm
Yeah.
length, height, weight. And maybe bench press. I mean, I know it turns heads when these guys run fast 40s and stuff, but I don't know if people really give a crap about the 40 of an offensive lineman. It's
Yeah.
just kind of cool to watch when they run fast, but um,
Right.
I just kind of want to get your thoughts on how much they can really help themselves outside of when they get measured.
I think a few guys historically really do help themselves at the combine. I mean, it's a big group, so most of them aren't really helping themselves. The lion's share of them are not helping themselves, but a few guys do occasionally. You'll see a guy sort of surprise everybody with a particular or group of drills,
Hmm.
and everybody will say, "Wow, he's a lot more athletic than we thought he would be." Because for me, that's really what you look for. It's not an individual number. It's the collective athleticism of the guy. You can see these guys in the agility drills. That
Yeah,
some guys just, when they run side to side, some guys overlap their feet while other guys have to turn their entire body.
yeah,
I mean, it's just, some guys are just freaks that way.
yeah,
So I think there will be a few offensive linemen that move a little bit as a result of the combine. Um, if we find that there's a left tackle worthy of the number 6 pick in the draft from the combine, I'll be shocked. I don't think that any of these left tackles are going to prove that they should be the 6th pick in the draft. Um, right tackle, yeah, we've said possibly. Monroe Freeling right now is shooting up people's boards, right, because of
yeah,
the lack of left tackles.
yeah,
It'll be interesting to see how he tests, and do people still view him the same way? Um, does that rise continue? Does he plateau? Um, right now, Isaiah World is just plummeting in all the simulators, right? He could really help himself at the combine by showing teams that that he has enough movement skills as a big man to stick at left tackle, where Caden Proctor probably is going to be exposed as a guy that is a Mekhi Becton in the making, that will probably be better at guard. Right.
Yeah.
So, to answer your question, will it give us a whole bunch of real solid answers? No. But there will be a few guys to get excited about. Watching the linebackers today, we knew that Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles were going to be the class of the linebacker group, and they proved it. They went out and showed everybody that they're head and shoulders above everyone else. All right. So no surprise there at all. The real fun part for me is okay, well, who's next? Who's the number 3, 4, 5, and 6 guy? And if we decide that we need a complement to Schlesinger and we're going to do it in the second or third round, who's the best fit? Right. So you look for that. Because we've got 10 picks and only 4 of them are in the first 2 days.
Yeah. Arvell Reese said that, I'm paraphrasing, but he's essentially said he would love to come play for the Browns. Now, odds are he's not going to make it to 6, but stranger things have happened, though.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he'd be the direction the Browns would go, but he might be one of those guys you can't pass up too.
I'm not sure he's the best fit for what we do on defense.
No, probably not.
But yeah, I mean, an athletic guy like that, you'd have to find a place for him, right?
Yeah, definitely. So, since we're talking pre-combine here, Jeff, want to talk about? I told you we get back to the quarterbacks, and I know a lot of guys aren't probably, or I don't know who's throwing, who's not at the combine. But do you think what are the odds that? Because there seems to be so much separation in this QB class. Do you think there's, and I'm not asking you to name names or anything, do you think there's a chance that some QBs could emerge from the combine looking more like first rounders than the way it looks right now? Just from throwing, just from, anything. And I know the quarterbacks don't typically do a lot at the combine anyways, but what do you think their odds are that this combine really helps some guys to shoot off the board at quarterback?
First round, probably a very small likelihood. But guys moving up into the mid rounds, I'd say, there's a good chance. Just because of how desperate teams are for quarterbacks, guys are going to get overdrafted. So somebody like Drew Aller, who is this enigma that we don't really know what we're getting. Somebody's going to reach for him. There's probably a handful of guys like that, Rod, that somebody could fall in love with potentially and say, I want to bring this guy in like the Browns did with Shedeur because they think his value exceeds the draft spot, to in Andrew Berry speak. This is not a great year to be a quarterback. It just isn't. So I think some of these guys will benefit from that, but will they turn out to be viable NFL starters or backups? It's a bit of a stretch right now.
Right. Yeah. And like you said, I think there's a few guys like Drew Aller that, and I know a lot of people are like thinking he, shit the bed and everything. And why would you even want him or anything?
Well, he kind of did. I mean,
he did. He did. Absolutely. Yeah.
But, if he'd have come out a year ago, he'd be starting for somebody right now, probably.
Yeah. But those are the kind of guys that have, I mean, he's got the size, the arm, and some other, he he fits the profile. And to me,
Right.
that's the kind of guy that you take, in a fifth round. You take him um, as your third quarterback, whatever, and you see what happens for a couple of years.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any harm in doing that with guys like that. There are guys like that, and there will be guys that'll show they have those abilities. I think. So.
Yeah. And there's teams that have a quarterback that can afford to invest in somebody like that.
Mm-hmm.
That they see, a small school guy or a big arm guy that just his team didn't win or whatever, that they can bring him in as their second or third guy and give him some time, where he doesn't have to save the franchise.
Yeah.
That's the ideal scenario for some of these guys.
Right.
Drew Aller would be probably really, really solid if he went to Philadelphia, right? But if he goes to Pittsburgh, he's going to be screwed. Or if he comes to Cleveland, he's going to be screwed, right? He's not going to have a chance to get his feet on the ground.
It'd probably be challenging, but I mean, you never know. I mean, definitely a better situation for him in one of those other places. But yeah. Is there anything Ty Simpson could do at this combine to convince you that he would be a good fit for the Browns, Jeff?
I don't think so. There's just not enough good tape on him. He's sort of been up and down a little bit too much in the small sample size. To think that he would immediately jump ahead of the guys we already have. And that's the only reason I would draft Ty Simpson, because somebody will draft him in the second round again because they're desperate. The Steelers will draft him, or somebody will draft him in the second round, thinking that they can build a starter out of him in a year or two. And I just don't see how we could be fair to a kid like that in our situation.
Not right now.
So, yeah. So I'm a pass on him. I think if the Browns wanted to bring a long shot guy in the 6th or 7th round, and they moved on from Dylan Gabriel, I think that's fine. He's a camp body. Even if he's a practice squad guy or whatever, that's fine at this point. But realistically, we should be loading up to solve the quarterback problem in 27.
Yeah, I totally agree. So, just before we wrap up here, Jeff, there's got to be some guys you're anxious to see at the combine. You've already gone through your wide receivers and stuff, but is there guys you're really anxious to see run or to see them do other things? Who are the guys you're really anxious to see how they perform at the combine?
Yeah, I mentioned tight ends last week. They're going to go tomorrow night. There's a couple of big guys, Eli Raridon and Tanner Koziel, who are both 6'7" tight ends that are a bit on the lean side. They would need to hit the NFL weight room. But just to I'm always looking for the complementary piece. You've got Harold Fannin, who's a bit undersized, really a tough guy that gets the extra yards and stuff. I would love to have a guy who's a mismatch as the complementary piece. A beanpole guy that's gonna out jump everybody for the ball in the red zone.
Right.
That we can teach him to block. Okay. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to looking at those couple of tight ends. The receivers, I think we've a pretty good idea what they're going to look like. So then it's Sunday. It's offensive linemen. I want to see the top 5 or 6 tackles, and particularly left tackles, because yes, we need everything. We need a right tackle, but I just can't justify us using our primo capital this year on a right tackle. I almost think we have to solve the left tackle problem first.
Yeah.
If that means we take a right tackle later in the draft too, then I'm fine with that. But I'm having a hard time getting my arms around taking one of those top tackles, one of those right tackles at 6. So at 24 or 39, can we find a left tackle who will at least give us some stability there? You know, is Caleb Lomu going to be around at 24, and is he solid enough in the passing game that we can live with his inability to run block in the short term? Or do we end up with one of the other guys that have a lot more question marks? You know, Proctor, World. There's just not a lot of left tackles that are going to be at the high end of the board this year. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what people's reaction is to those guys testing. You know, if one of those guys lays down a blistering 40 time, does everybody start, seeing him as the answer?
Right.
But yeah, tight ends tomorrow night, tackles on Sunday. Those are my key focus areas right now.
Nice. All right. Well, hope everybody enjoys the combine. I guess, Jeff, let's get some closing thoughts from you, and then we're going to get on out of here.
Okay. We went over wide receivers a little bit. We didn't really talk about any free agent wide receivers. I just wanted to throw one name out there. You're going to laugh, Rod. So the top couple of free agent wide receivers are going to get big money. Pickens, Pierce, Dobbs a little bit less. Somewhere in that mix is going to be Wan'Dale Robinson. And I saw an article today where he was linked to the Browns. Yeah. Well, here's my take on that. Wan'Dale Robinson is 5'8" and 185 pounds. So he's almost guaranteed that he's right at the top of Andrew Berry's radar. We know how much Andrew Berry likes those
5'8" wide receivers.
Shorter stature guys that play big, right? I'm joking when I say that that's probably who the Browns are going to sign, but it wouldn't surprise me. $3 million or 3 years, $63 million is his projected contract. Man, I think there are better answers in the draft, but okay.
Get some guys with some size. Just try it.
There's your slot guy, Jeremy.
Yeah, just try it. All right. Well, we're going to get on out of here. This has been the Browns Blitz. We thank you for listening, and we will catch you next time.